Lock my stitches. Lock my stitches. Now I can save that for other areas of the quilt. This is just to kind of press that fabric down, give it that faux. Hello, everybody, and now we are finished with this gigantic, beautiful Alaska quilt. Now we've got some side light going on, so we can kind of go over some of the textural stuff, and I'm going to start up at the top. And so what we're going to do is just kind of look, and as you saw from the first video that we did, the first section of this, we did a 45-degree diagonal, and I worked all of my 45 degrees across from left to right and from left to right angle. I also did the fish texture. I ditched around all of the motifs and all of the blocks. We'll just say that right off the bat. This is again a double bat. It has a wool as well as an 80/20 just to give it some puff, and also it'll always hang beautiful because this will be a hanging quilt, I believe, in the person's house that it was gifted to. Out on the edge, when we go out to the side borders, what I did is I did, of course, the piano keys. I did them 1.5 inches. I thought that that would be a lovely frame. And then I did these 2 green inner borders. I did a 1/2 inch in, 1/2 inch in from both sides, and then did the filler in here and a swirl filler in here, just for texture's sake. I did these black sashes, all of them, including all of the ones around the blocks, as ditch work, and then of course divided them. Sometimes I divided them evenly. Sometimes if it was 1.5 inches, I would go in a 1/2 of an inch and then have a 1/2 of an inch and an inch in a few places. Any of the large black areas, I went ahead and stuck to my 45-degree just to kind of tie the whole quilt together with the 45-degree through the black large areas. On this panel, of course, what I did is I ditched around all of the whales and then did a nice water meander around all of the fish and the different little appliques that would signify the water. With the other panels up here, let's start with the moose and the cabin. With these, and of course, again, the Aurora Borealis, if hopefully I said that right, and it beautifully pieced, and I did microfill inside the dark blue areas, and then I ditched the piecing work for the actual Aurora. I ditched around all the trees. I added a little bit of texture to the snow. I kind of did a straight line ditch work. And then I would do filler and then straight line ditch work and filler just to kind of do that. I did some textural stuff up here for the hills and valley. Over here, let's talk about this beautiful bear holding the fish. I love this. I added a little bit of extra batting behind there just to kind of faux trapunto the bear. And I love the effect that that gives it. It gives it a wonderful 3D effect. I don't know if you're getting that on camera, but it just looks almost like a pillow on its own. And then, of course, the fish. I gave it some texture and fins. And I kind of just continued that whole thing all the way through this quilt. Now, this quilt took a long time. This was on the machine for about 2 months, even though I rotate quilts because we have multiple machines. This one was on. This was definitely a labor-intensive quilt. Now you can see here with the bear and the ice and the water, the bear hunting for salmon. We did some wonderful ditch work and trapunto on the inside of the snow caps of the mountains, which turned out really cool. I kept that swirl consistent in all the skies. Once in a while I throw in a few feathers just because, to be decorative. Again, you can see the sash. This panel is one of my favorites out of the whole piece. I love this Aurora with the wolf here. I got a little batting there, excuse me. The wolf trapunto, there's lots of trapunto behind here, and I actually went in a 1/2 of an inch around the inside of this large part of the Aurora, and just kind of really did some trapunto there. Down here in the piecing area, where she has the block work set up, I did filler inside any of this tan area. And again, I kind of carried that whole theme out throughout this whole quilt. Now we haven't blocked this, so of course it's hanging for its first time. It needs to lay flat and be blocked so that it can hang straight. So let's take a look at this guy. This is the mushers with the dogs. And I did the background sky fabric. I simply did vertical piano keys just to kind of add a little bit of interest there. And then I did, of course, the snow with some filler behind the dogs just to pop them forward. And of course, every aspect of this quilt, everything was ditched around. When you go down to the bottom, you can see the piecing with this beautiful moose. This is has some trapunto behind the moose, as well as, of course, ditch work so that it will have that wonderful sculptural dimension going on. Same thing here with these beautiful mountains and snow caps. And the piecing over here pops forward. Over on this side, you can see, again, I've carried out that 45-degree in the black portions here, along with this flying geese and salmon running panel here. That's all, and by the way, this is obviously, if you've never seen this quilt before, I believe it is a kit quilt, and I sadly enough don't know the maker of the actual pattern. But this particular quilt, the everything on it is appliqued down. It is machine appliqued, and it's well done. She did an amazing job with the machine applique. You can see here with the hiker, the different textures I tried to put in some of the plain mountains, just to kind of add a little bit of geographic kind of trapunto type work with some texture. And again, you can see I filled in everything around the fish and the flying geese. This definitely was a labor-intensive quilt to do. I have to say, this was one of the more intense quilts that I've done. Even though it kept my interest with all the different panels, it was definitely a time-consuming process for this one. I'll be glad to see it go finally to its home. It is past due, probably about a month. But I think it looks great, and it will be a wonderful piece that will hopefully end up in a museum somewhere when it's, or as a family heirloom for the folks that it's going to. I don't think it's one that's going to be on a bed. So there we go. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this wonderful quilt along, and it gave you some ideas for anything coming down the pike for you. And so you will join us, and we will see you soon for our next quilt along. See you later. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to you later.